Okay, so I'm really psyched to be talking about home this morning. Our homes inside and outside. This morning, I want to talk about home in two ways. The first way has to do with this summer's Jewish liturgical calendar. The second way will present meditation as what I want to call a homing device. My desire to make such a big deal about the theme of home is very much motivated by a book by Rabbi Alan Liu called This is Real and You're Totally Unprepared, and a book by Rabbi Jonathan Sachs called The Home We Build Together, Recreating Society. The holiday that begins a week from this Saturday night is Tisha B'Av. It memorializes many horrid moments in Jewish history. It especially memorializes the devastating destruction of the Jewish home in Jerusalem in 587 BC. Last year, or last summer at this time, was particularly hard. Many people were dying or getting terribly sick from COVID. The rest of us had to isolate. George Floyd was murdered and many took to the streets. The politics had gotten as bad as we've ever known. We were mourning the loss of a society that we had grown up viewing as somewhat stable and decent. Just as Jerusalem was destroyed in 587 BC, it seemed that our current society was coming apart at the seams. So how do we approach the second Tisha B'Av after the beginning of COVID with the memories of last summer somewhat fresh? Right after Tisha B'Av, Jews begin their approach to the high holidays, reciting beautiful prophecies of consolation and hope. Rosh Hashanah begins the night of Labor Day, September 6th. The high holidays are about tshuva, which I want to define for the purposes of this morning's discussion as coming home. Tshuva might be defined as coming home to what's right for our lives as individuals, what's right for our relationships, and as well as what's right for our relationship to the larger social whole. So, as we face the difficult task of acknowledging the loss of what feels like home, and as we begin the process of coming home for the high holidays, I want to talk about a portable home, namely meditation. I do think that meditation can help us acknowledge losses, national and personal, in a very healthy way. It will also help us discern what's most important for us and those around us. Meditation will help us to turn in that direction when we begin the journey to the high holidays in a couple weeks. I think meditation is basically a matter of making a safe home for ourselves. I'm not talking about a physical home or even a relational home, but a spiritual or psychological one for our individual selves. It's about an atmosphere we create for ourselves. But it's not just about ourselves. By virtue of creating this atmosphere for ourselves, we're more likely to bring an enlivening and caring energy to the interpersonal and group engagements that form our social life. The person whose writing really moved me to begin a meditation practice 22 years ago was Mark Epstein, who is at the same time a Buddhist, a Jew, and a psychoanalyst. One of his books, Thoughts Without a Thinker, convinced me that meditation can create what has been called a holding environment. I want to first talk about this concept of a holding environment in the context of family life. Donald Winnicott, another psychoanalyst, introduced this idea of his in the context of family life. In addition to being a psychoanalyst, he was also a pediatrician. His writings on child development have influenced many seeking ways to best raise their children. He encourages a kind of parental presence whereby small children feel held psychologically, even if they are not at the moment being held physically. It's non-intrusive, yet at the same time very engaged. The parent creating a holding environment for his or her child brings the same kind of energy to the relationship as when he or she lovingly holds his or her infant physically. The child can feel it. And according to Winnicott, it favorably impacts the child downstream. Winnicott also encouraged this approach when doing therapy for adults. Winnicott encouraged his therapist colleagues to go easy on interpretations and strong on engaged listening, attentive to the timing of any of his or her interventions. Just as a parent creates a holding environment for his or her child, a therapist might do that for each of the people with whom they sit. Mark Epstein, the person who turned me on to meditation, says that when meditating, we're doing the same thing for ourselves. We're creating an internal or inward holding environment. There's this witness part of ourselves that is lovingly watching our internal process. This internal process consists of what's coming up in our thoughts, what's happening in our bodies, and what's happening in the quality of our breathing. We become that caring parent for ourselves, watching all of this, noticing it without forcing anything. In practicing meditation, we try to get good at parenting ourselves in this way. So, how might we utilize meditation as a portable home to help us acknowledge the horrors that have befallen Jews through their history, face the threats to our society, and focus ourselves as serious spiritual people as we go out to make better social homes for all of us? As we begin our sit, which we're doing soon, here are some prompts to consider that you should feel free to ignore if that's your pleasure. Dina volunteered to type that into the chat. She'll be typing these prompts into the chat. So there are 5 prompts. Number 1, what is your most cherished sense of home? Number 2, have you ever known that you have to leave some kind of home, beginning the journey to another one about which you as yet have no clue? Do you look at United States society as a home for yourself? Has your sense of the value of the United States as a home changed over the years? Do you carry a home around with you, like a turtle carrying its shell? If so, do you ever have to work on the shell? And that was number 4. And number 5, has meditation helped give you a sense of home? So I'll bring us back together at 11:29, and I'll read a blessing, a beautiful blessing, written by this amazing man, John O'Donohue, and the blessing is for a new home. So let's be like a lion. Let's sit alert, quiet, and very in touch with our environment, with what's going on in our environment, in our body, in our breath. Let's feel the earth wherever it might be touching our bodies, our feet, our bottom. And let's feel ourselves up to the heavens, like beyond the sky, like a plumb line, going from our face, our head, the inside of our head, the top of our head, all the way up to the heaven. And let's take a deep cleansing breath and begin our meditation. As we slowly and gently come back to our shared space, I'm going to read a blessing for a new home that was written by John O'Donohue. May this house shelter your life when you come in home here. May all the weight of the world fall from your shoulders. May your heart be tranquil here, blessed by the peace the world cannot give. May this home be a lucky place where the graces your life deserves always find a pathway to your door. May nothing destructive ever cross your threshold. May this be a safe place full of understanding and acceptance, where you can be as you are without the need for any mask of pretense or image. May this home be a place of discovery, where the possibilities that sleep in the clay of your soul can emerge to deepen and refine your vision for all that is yet to come to birth. May it be a house of courage, where healing and growth are loved, where dignity and forgiveness prevail. A home where patience of spirit is prized, and the sight of the destination is never lost, though the journey be difficult and slow. May there be great delight around the hearth. May it be a house of welcome for the broken and diminished. May you have the eyes to see that no visitor arrives without a gift, and no guest leaves without a blessing. Thoughts?
Larry, thank you so very, very much. I just want to share with everybody before I turn the recording off that Larry and I had had a conversation during the week after last week's meditation, and I expressed to him my desire to be a participant. And he said, I'll lead, you be a participant. So I want to really just thank you, thank you, thank you. And now we will